Overall thoughts heading into the season. Obviously, Northlake is known for being a very successful football program. I mean, just your overall thoughts on your team coming out of summer. Just you like where you boys are?
I like where we're at, but we still have a long way to go. There's some key position people offensively that are inexperienced in spots. So we need as much of the summer as possible to make sure that we get them to where they need to be. So are we on schedule? Yes. Are where we need to be to start the year? No, not right now.
I know it's a well known fact because we saw it on 7-on-7s, but I'd love to know what went into your decision making process to put a player like a Nick Mormon at quarterback. What was your thought process there, and how does that benefit you as an offense?
Wasn't a whole lot of genius behind it. He's the best athlete on the field. We're going to get the ball in his hands as many times as possible. He touches the ball every play. And Nick's a high football IQ guy. So the transition for him to learn a new position is not overwhelming. So it's a 1 year thing for us. You know, the young man we have coming up who's a freshman is going to be a fine player for us. But we are not ready to throw him in the fire just yet. He needs a year to groom. And for us to have the most success possible this year, this was a move we had to make.
Obviously, people are going to think, the outsiders who don't get to see you at practice every day, okay, that just means Northlake's going to run, the triple option and never going to throw the ball. Have you seen that he can be a threat throwing the ball?
Absolutely. That's been the biggest thing he's had to work on in the offseason, naturally. Um, but yes, he's an athlete and he picks things up and he works hard on his mechanics. He works hard on reads. He takes a lot of ownership of it. When he makes a mistake, he doesn't make excuses about it. He learns from it and moves on. So, yes, he'll be able to make some plays in the passing game.
All right, and in the backfield with him, I know for me personally, and I bet it's going to be for a lot for your district opponents, it's going to seem like, well, Wesley Brown's entering his 12th year at Northlake Christian. Just talk about the growth you've seen from this kid from when he arrived here to now it's his senior year. You're talking about a man now. I mean, he's built, he's everything you want in a power running back. Just talk about that the kind of ball player you have there.
He squats 700 pounds and he's built low to the ground. So, um, in street language, he's a load. And the thing that surprises, I think, some people about Wesley, a lot of the college coaches that have come in and been willing to look at him on film and talk about him, is his feet are a whole lot better for a kid that size than anybody would ever imagine. So when he gets to the second level, he can run away from people. He can make linebackers miss. Um, so yes, is he strong? Is he powerful? That's kind of been a given, and it's gotten he's gotten stronger every year. But I think what surprises people the most about Wesley is his ability to make plays with his feet.
Up front, obviously, with a 2-way program, you're going to see a lot of the same people on the offensive line that we do on the defensive line. But up front on the offensive line, give me some names of some kids that are going to have to step up this year because you lose a couple starters from last year's squad.
But we have more back than I think people might imagine. So Matt Howe, we asked him last year as a junior to slide in from tight end to guard. Um, so Matt's going to be a senior this year. He's got a year of experience under his belt there. We're expecting big things from Matt. Josh Holloway is a starter for us from last year. He's returning. He's back. Um, we have a young guy by the name of Josh Lazaro that is a sophomore this year that we have just been waiting for him to emerge, and he's going to really help us on the offensive line as well. So we have some pieces there, and we have some experience coming back. We did lose a couple. Um, we got a couple surprises though. We picked up a transfer um, that I think is going to help us a great deal. Who's just a sophomore? Is going to be moving in a tackle for us, and yeah, Thrasher.
Okay, I got you.
So uh, yeah, Colby Thrasher. They've moved into the district, and kind of something we weren't expecting. Um, so that's been a pleasant surprise for us. Um, So that's going to be helpful. I think the biggest thing missing for us right now is returning tight ends. You know, anybody that's followed our program, tight ends are a big part of what we do in the running game and the passing game, and we're going to need our young tight ends to emerge. So if we're lacking experience anywhere offensively, it's there.
Obviously, the first thing, if I'm an opposing defense, I'm going to say, I'm going to put 8, 9, and 10 in the box and make Nick Mormon beat me with his arm. So he's got to have wide receivers to be able to throw the ball to. Who steps up this year to be able to provide those targets for Nick when he's under center?
Well, Clayton Gill's returning. You know, Clayton was kind of somebody that went under the radar last year. Sam Smith was most of the time the guy that people were trying to figure out how to defend. So Clayton Gill is a returner for us. He made some big plays on offense. Clayton will be back. Rashawn Poppy Duke is going to surprise some people at receiver for us. Anybody that was around any of our 7-on-7s realized that he's well coached, high football IQ, hard worker. He's going to be able to make some plays for us. So another young man that did not play for us last year that is this year by the name of Titus Dillon. And very athletic, very fast, extremely hard worker. So he should be able to do some things for us offensively too. And we have another young man by the name of Ian Lopez that's been around the program for quite a while. That is an H-back slot receiver type of kid that we can move around in different places, and he'll be able to make some plays. So we look for all those players to make some plays, as well as Kyle Lazaro, another basketball player for us that didn't play football last year. He's coming back. So we expect Kyle to do some things for us on offense too. So new faces at receiver in some respects, but athletes and kids that we feel they'll be able to make some plays for us.
I'm switching over to the defensive side of the football. You can't replace the hole that Caleb Sampson's leaving. It's a massive hole. One of the most successful and high-profile kids to ever really come out of this school. But there's still going to have to be players at that position. Who's going to have to step up this year for you to have the kind of defensive line you want to be successful heading into the year?
The defensive line is probably the thing that we've been paying the most attention to in the offseason. Our defensive backs and linebackers are the most skilled athletic group of kids we've had around here in a long time. We're going to be fast on defense. We're going to be able to run to the football. We're going to be able to make some plays in the secondary. Daniel Hickey was somebody that emerged for us late on the defensive line last year, so we expect Daniel to be a playmaker for us. But we've been experimenting with Daniel playing up at the inside linebacker spot or dropping him down, so he could end up at either of those two spots. Matt Howell is another two-way kid that will probably drop down and play some defensive end for us, and as well as some outside linebacker at times. And then we have some young kids that are kind of really battling it out at that, nose tackle, defensive tackle position. So we talk a lot about it in staff meetings. We're waiting for people to emerge, and I think we're just going to have to wait until scrimmage and jamboree time comes around, because we're going to have to see who the kids are going to be able to make some plays for us and make an impact immediately.
While that defensive line is maybe gelling and growing up, you just mentioned it, the linebackers and your secondary is kind of where your confidence is. Let's go backwards to forwards here in the secondary. It's going to be a lot of probably receivers playing on the other side of the ball as well. Who's there in the secondary for you guys?
Bailey DeSalle started as a freshman at corner for us and did a fine job. He's back at a cornerback spot. We've got another young man that was ineligible last year due to the residency rule, who is now eligible this year, in the name of Blaine Gross in the secondary. Fantastic athlete. We're expecting him to make some plays. We'll play Nick back there as much as we possibly can, so that is a given. In the right cornerback spot, again, that's a spot that we're having kids battle a little bit for, but Titus Dillon is another name that you might see kind of come to the forefront in the secondary a little bit. And Gage Dufresne is another young man. He could play cornerback or outside linebacker for us and be an impact player at both spots. So Um, we're excited. Ian Lopez is another name I told you about on the offensive side of the ball. We are, Coach Rober, our defensive coordinator, even alluded to it today at practice. We can run. We're athletic. And this is probably as much speed as we've had. Maybe not as much bulk and power with, the absence of Caleb and then Buddy Kyle up front. But we're going to be pretty quick. Linebackers, well, right now you're probably looking at Wesley Brown naturally. I told you Gage Dufresne. The other Thrasher brother, Clay, could potentially be an impact player for us as well.
Last question. Obviously, every coach knows they're gonna have to deal with stuff that they don't know that's coming yet. An injury here or a player stepping up that they never expected. But if it could go to plan, Northlake's going to have a good season if what happens? Like, what's the biggest key in your head of, if we do this well, we're going to be okay?
Run the football. I mean, that is an answer you'll hear from me every year. But I think any team, when they can establish the line of scrimmage, any team is going to be competitive in every game. And I think, Nick, even though he's shown it in 7-on-7s, again, and you alluded to it earlier, he's going to have to be able to make some plays in the passing game, but I think he's going to surprise some people there.